Hi knitters, welcome to episode 143 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I am Devin Bentry, your host. You can find me online at KnittyMcPurly.com. I'm Knitty McPurly on Instagram, and if you want to email me, I am Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. Thumbs up the video, subscribe, do all the stuff. Hello! September is here. Today I'm drinking out of my South Dakota mug. Thanks, Anne. Hi, Anne. So this past week was amazing. I feel like a lot of us had amazing weather this past week. It was like perfection. 70 degrees, low humidity, sun shining, gorgeous. Well, it's going to be 100 like every day next week. That super stinks, but we'll get a lot of stuff done indoors. We're just going to zip up the blinds and hang out inside where we can knit. Wouldn't that be nice? I'll probably be homeschooling and shipping packages and dyeing yarn, but knitting would be amazing too. Okay, progress and shop news. The biggest thing, is there a biggest thing? There's lots of big things. The Diggory Tee is coming out this Friday. Whoop, whoop. My test knitters have done such an amazing job. They have sent me just some of the most beautiful, beautiful pictures. I'll put some up while we talk. The Diggory Tee is a basic t-shirt. It's kind of landing at sort of the wrong time of year, although I feel like you could wear it like a vest in the winter time. And then when the weather warms up in the summer, you'll have it all ready to go. You won't be like, what am I going to cast on for the summer? You'll be like, my summer thing is done. So the Diggory Tee will be released on Friday, September 8th, and I'll probably do that with some kind of a discount. If you're not signed up to get my newsletter, go do that because newsletter people always get to hear about stuff first. The knit along for Diggory is going to start a week from today on Sunday. So if you're thinking that you want to knit this t-shirt, this short sleeve sweater, and you want to go shopping in your stash or your yarn store or online or wherever it is you find yarn, the first two sizes, so for a bust size of 30 to 36, you only need 2 skeins. Bust sizes 38 through 52. So that's like a ton of people. It's probably most people fall within that range. You need 3 skeins of yarn. And then for the 2 biggest sizes, bust size 54 to 60, you will need 4 skeins of yarn. So for most people, it's going to be 3 skeins, 2 skeins for some, 4 skeins for some, but for most people, 3 skeins of yarn to knit this t-shirt. So if you want to think about it and think, what yarn might I use? And it is fingering weight. So you can use any fingering weight yarn that you want. My testers did everything. I mean, it ran the gamut from, they did wool, they did cotton, they did bamboo, they did silk, they did everything. I did have one tester who could not get gauge with her cotton yarn, but I had some who did. So it depends. Different knitters are different. But it would make a great cotton top or a cotton blend if you're into that. So anyway, yes, that is coming up. So last night, I just could not sleep. Like I slept and then I got up at 1:30 to go to the bathroom and I've been up since then. So I'm a little bit slap happy. Like everything is hilarious to me. And the more coffee I drink, the worse it gets. So this ought to be fun. Also, Myrrh Dog pins are in the shop. I had a hard time last week showing you the pin because it just on video, it's hard to capture. So here is a close up of the pin and you can really see the detail. This pin is awesome. I could not love it anymore. I went back and forth with the pin people on colors and placement and all this, and I am just so happy with what we landed on. The colors are a little bit different than the original Myrrh Dog, but this pin, it is just so great. It's the perfect size. It's 1 1/4 inch. I didn't bring it with me, but I'll put up a couple pictures. It's 1 1/4 inch tall and 1 1/4 inch wide. And it is just so great. So if you got my newsletter and you had a chance to read it on Friday, I talked about why the Myrrh Dog, because I haven't talked about that in a while. But last week, someone left me a comment saying, what the heck? Like, why the Myrrh Dog? So back in 2021, I finished my chemo treatment. Like, it was a hot second since I had finished it, like 3 weeks, okay? I was sick as a dog. I mean, it makes you just feel terrible. And we had been on a list with a Boston Terrier breeder because Gigi wanted one. And we really didn't know how much these dogs cost. Like, they're very expensive dogs. Dogs are expensive if you get a purebred dog. So we were on the list, but I was kind of thinking, we can't afford this dog. So the breeder knew that it was, a kid. She was 11 back then. And it was a kid who was saving up for this dog. So when one was born blind, she messaged me and said, do you want this blind one? Like, we just need a home for it. And I was like, I don't know anything about dogs. Never had a blind animal of any kind. So sure, definitely yes. So he was like 8 weeks old. And so we went and looked at him and then got him the next day. It was crazy, but I called him my therapy dog, and he's the best dog in the world. Like, he's the greatest dog in the world. We left him at home when we went to the beach for a week, and my neighbor just came over several times a day, and she'd hang out here and stuff. But he doesn't chew anything up. He's just a really good boy. And one day I just had this little mental image of him. Like, what if his fat little dog body were kind of stuffed into like a little mermaid tail? And what if he was knitting? And what if he had a unicorn horn on? And so I drew it, and it was amazing. And it doesn't make sense. And I know it's weird. And why? There are no answers. Don't ask. I feel like the Myrrh Dog is a reminder not to take ourselves too seriously and not to take our knitting too seriously, because we live in a world where everybody kind of freaks out about stuff. There's a freak out problem in the world right now. And I think we all need to take ourselves a little bit less seriously. And that, I think, is what the Myrrh Dog embodies. It's kind of like my other pin. It'll block out. Like, just chill, just relax. It's all gonna be fine. Anyway, the Myrrh Dog pins are in the shop if you want one. I also have a few stickers left. I don't have a lot of stickers. I can reorder stickers if I run out, but there's, I don't know how many, less than 10 in there now. So if you want a sticker, it's like $2 for a sticker. They're very inexpensive, and you can put them everywhere. I have them on my computer. I have them on my car and on my mugs. And they can go through the dishwasher. We have one stainless steel mug with a Myrrh Dog sticker, and it has gone through the dishwasher many times, and that sticker looks perfect. The one on my car has been there for a long time, and it's starting to peel a little bit. So over the course of years, it will start to peel if it's baking in the hot sun. But they're pretty durable. Okay. September's color of the month is here. Yay, you guys. I've been waiting for this one. I've been planning it in my head. I'll get it. Let me show you. I know you've seen it before, but my latest faucet, I wore it on the podcast last week. Here it is. I love this. I love the color palette. We have Morel and Poirot and Bosque, and I just love it. I think these are the best colors together. I just love them so much. And so for September, I combined them into one skein. Isn't it great? It's way more fall than what I did in August and what I did all summer. It's like we're easing into fall. This is back to school fall, right? This is new clothes and pencils and notebooks. That's what I'm feeling. So September's color of the month will be available all month. If I run out of a color in the month, I dye more. And that's how I sometimes end up with some extras. I still have some of July's color of the month and August in the shop because I was dyeing those all the way through the month. So, in the end, I have a couple left over. So don't worry. I had somebody message me and say, I'm out of town. Is it going to be gone when I get back? And I was like, don't worry. I will dye more all through the month of September. It doesn't go away until it's October, and I have October's color out. Okay. The sock rulers. Can we just talk about this for a second? I messaged my supplier because after last week's podcast, they were gone like immediately. Like you guys were like, click, 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 get me a sock ruler. And some of you bought many sock rulers, which was smart because then you save on shipping. And then you and all your friends can have a sock ruler for the price of one shipped package. And that's always nice to save on shipping. I messaged my supplier and I was like, they sold out in 48 hours. Could I have more? She just laughed. So I do have more in the works. They're coming if you missed it. Sock rulers are popular. You guys really like sock rulers, I've learned. So I will make sure to have more. And I think my supplier, like we're on to this now. We've got it. We're working toward having more sock rulers around. So when you're in like a sock emergency, you have that available because this is an amazing tool. I'm going to link the video down below that has all the things about the sock ruler. So you can say, do I need a sock ruler? Why do I need that? I didn't bring it up here. But you can see all the stuff that it does because it does a lot of stuff. It's like the magic sock tool. Okay. This is my third cup of coffee today. I've been tapering down the caffeine. I was hoping to get a nap in today, but after all this coffee, I'm probably not going to be able to. But whatever, it's all fine. Behind the scenes, I have been doing a lot of work on the advent calendars. If you pre-ordered an advent calendar, it's pretty amazing. I'm so happy with how it's coming out. It's really fabulous. If you did not pre-order an advent calendar, but you do want to knit along with us, you will be able to. I will have those patterns available, for people overseas or for people who just want to knit from their scrap stash, because you could absolutely knit these ornaments with scraps. Also, I haven't quite worked, now I'll wait to talk about that until I work it all out. But yeah, if you want to join in on that, you will be able to. I've been putting up pictures of the Molly sweater to motivate me to get this thing done. I'm gonna pause this video. I love when my husband is changing and it catches it here in the video, but I'll just pause it because it's the internet. All right, whew. Dodged a bullet on that one. I saved you. Okay, so I went and got my Molly sweater. I really love this sweater so much. It's in the frost colorway. It's Surrey silk. Oh, it blows out like that. Maybe if I turn this light off. Hi. Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit better. It's just so pretty and it's soft and I'm gonna love it. And we're coming into like sweater weather. So I really do want to work on this. It's like one of those transition times from summer to school. And the transitions are always really hard to do. For me, anyway, it takes me weeks to transition. And then as soon as I do, then we're going to have the time change. It's like we're just in a constant state of, it's fine. Okay. All right. Here is a little segment of Crocheting with Gigi. Hi.
Smile. Oh, right.
Crocheting with Gigi.
My own segment.
Can we just, before we get into it, can we talk about Gigi's highlights? I did her highlights for her.
Amazing.
Aren't they amazing? Okay.
All right.
Show us your crocheting.
So I finished the blanket, but then apparently I made too many flowers. So now they go together, blanket, coaster, and I'm going to give them to Maggie for her wedding.
Maggie doesn't watch the podcast.
She doesn't watch the podcast.
She doesn't even know that the podcast exists, probably.
And if she does...
Surprise!
Surprise! Okay, and project 2... When I made that blanket, my dad was like, I want one of those blankets. And when Dad wants a blanket, he usually doesn't, or he makes it very obviously want a blanket.
Yeah, because he says, just make it for me, like right now. Rocky is in the room, and he's doing that thing where he's on his back rolling around. He's
fighting
like,
hair.
He's like, no one's going to play with me, so I'm just going to play by myself.
Okay, so.
Anyway,
so we made it super colorful, and I've already made 4 squares.
Let's hold them up. So we went to Hobby Lobby.
One.
Oh, we should tell what yarn this is. This
is bulky acrylic.
But what's the name of it?
B. There's B in the
Oh, there's a bee on it. It's got a bee on it.
It's got a B on it.
We picked
This
out
one.
these colors, and she's just gonna use them all crazy and make all these these different squares. Oh my gosh, Rocky!
Whoa!
This is Charlotte's piano stool
With a pillow on it. Very classy. These are the 4 I have so far.
It's gonna be amazing. So just a refresher, it's that daisy blanket. I'll put up a picture so you can see.
But I was tired of using the same colors over and over, so I decided to make them all fun.
Yeah, and this is gonna go in the living room too. And Dad will be surprised. His birthday is in October. We don't need to tell his actual birthday on the internet. I don't actually know. I'll tell you later. So could you go get the ball band? Maybe on your way out you can take Rocky with you, but
what is that?
That's the thing that wraps around the yarn so we can say what yarn it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Or get a skein you haven't done anything with yet. Do 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 do.
Okay, we don't need your intermission music.
That's Jeopardy.
Is it?
You're too young.
What's Jeopardy?
The other day I said something about MTV, and my kids were like, "What's MTV?"
I don't know what that is. Is that like AVF?
No,
Oh.
I don't know what that is. Okay, Yarn Bee,
I
True
can't
Colors.
see it. It's flipped.
It's just how it looks to us. It'll look normal to them.
What? I don't think so. I think it'll look flipped.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, well, all right then.
Yeah, so
Yarn
this, in our Hobby Lobby, this is on, don't fall over, this is on an end cap, and it has the most colors. It's bulky weight.
Yeah.
It does fuzz a little bit. We noticed a little bit of pilling on the other blanket, so we'll have to catch up with Maggie in a couple of years and see how that one fares, but we'll also have this one in our house.
Yes.
Although don't tell DAD. I don't know why I spelled that. He can spell.
He can spell. Like Charlotte can't, so you know.
Yeah.
So we spell in front of her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, Dad's not even here, and you're spelling a 3-letter word. The most phonetic word out there.
I didn't get enough sleep last night.
It's baby's first word. That's how phonetic it is, Mom.
All right, Gigi, this was amazing. Don't fall over. Don't spill my coffee.
Sorry.
All right.
All right.
Beat it, sister.
Bye.
Bye. All right. This week's topic of the week is the anatomy of a knit stitch. Last week, we talked about the Finchley graft, and it's an alternative to the Kitchener stitch. If you are new, the Kitchener stitch is how you graft 2 sets of live stitches together, such as in the toe of a sock. When you have live stitches and you want to graft them together in a way that is seamless so that you don't detect that any grafting was done. The Kitchener stitch basically does this on the right side, and the Finchley graft, the main difference here is just that you're working it on the wrong side. I was looking into more information about grafting, and I came across this blog article by Nimble Needles. Nimble Needles is done by a guy named Norman, and he was explaining grafting in a way that I feel like it's obvious, but I really hadn't thought of it like that before. And he has this picture, and we all understand what's happening in this picture, right? The green is the knitting. The live stitches would have been, the 2 rows that are adjacent to the red row, and the red row is either the Kitchener or the Finchley or whatever graft you did. And I just kind of wanted to go through this article with you because I thought his explanation was so good. And he talked about the anatomy of a knit stitch, and he has this picture. All of these pictures are from his blog, just so that credit is fully given. And he shows here, it's so obvious. You're like, well, duh, obviously. But when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, like that's it. It's something very obvious, but when you think about it, it kind of changes your idea of what you're doing when you're doing the Kitchener stitch or any type of grafting. The yarn just comes in the last loop, goes up to form a new loop, and then goes down out to form the next stitch. And so he shows how you can work this sewn without the needles. And basically all he's really doing here is the Kitchener stitch. So, but previous to that, like he talks about sewing a knit stitch. So he puts the yarn on a needle and just sews the knit stitch, where you go, if you're knitting, you go into the stitch with the needle and then you make a little loop and then you go out the same stitch with the needle. And that's kind of an exercise in understanding what the stitch is, so that when you go to graft, you understand how to work it. And on the purl side, it would be the same, but you go in from, what is it? You go in from the front, and when you're doing the knit side, you go in from the back, obviously, right? Okay, so here he has the stitches off the needles, and what he's gonna do basically is the Kitchener stitch without the needles. And if you think of it, if you just try to conceptualize what you're doing, he has like a tutorial that shows you where at first you go in to the first stitch and then you go in the opposite side going from the front. Then go through the adjacent stitch coming from the back. It's slip, knit, slip, purl, purl, slip, knit, slip, purl, slip, knit. That's basically what it is, only he's kind of trying to get you to understand it. But this photo tutorial, I feel like, makes it so clear what's happening when you're doing the Kitchener stitch. So any creative way of grafting is basically this. It's just another way to get the yarn to do those loops in and out of those live stitches. Whether you sew it, I've been told that there's a way to knit it, or whether you turn it inside out and do it the Finchley way. It's basically just forming those loops. It seems so obvious and basic, but at the same time, when you understand the concept, you don't need to remember the exact directions because you understand the concept. Okay, moving on to the comments section. Both Ray and Wendy, who came to my retreat, both of them, hi ladies, said that they loved Amy's idea of an Audrey knit along. That is a great idea. Audrey is a great sweater. It is seasonless. You can wear it any season. It's worsted weight. It's a worsted weight sweater, but it has like a really long, like this is like a longer short sleeve, but it's even a little bit longer. It's like an elbow sleeve. My daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, who thinks that everything I do is stupid, has been stealing my Audrey sweater. So that's how you know it's cool. Whenever your teenager steals it, you've hit onto something. And I told him, like, you can keep it because it looks really good on her. But anyway, back to the Audrey knit along. Why don't we do one in October? Because we've got the Diggory Tea knit along starting on Sunday, a week from today. And then maybe like mid to late October, we can do an Audrey knit along. Both of these sweaters are very simple. Diggory takes, I feel like it's taken the testers 4 to 5 weeks because it's a fingering weight, but it doesn't have any sleeves, so that cuts off time. I knit my first Audrey in 4 days because it's worsted weight. It doesn't have very long sleeves. It's not super long. Like it's just a really, I mean, I don't want to say it's a really quick knit. It's a quick knit for a sweater. So we'll put that on the calendar for sometime in October. Lisa R says, Devin, I recently received an order I placed with your shop for 2 Shopiversary bundles. I plan to use them for the colored hexagons of one of the cherry hearts designs. It's absolutely beautiful yarn. The colors are exactly what I hoped for, and the yarn is scrumptious. Thank you for sharing your talent and smile with every podcast. P.S. I love your daughter's enthusiasm and creativity. I agree. She's awesome. Oh, here it is. I was going to say, didn't I bring that up? Yes, I have some more of these Shopiversary sets in the shop. I have fingering weight and DK weight, in case you're interested. These colors are just fabulous. Oh my gosh, I love them so much. So if you're interested in these, go get them. You might say, well, Devin, your Shopiversary is over. I know, but I went crazy and I dyed 1 million of them. So I do still have some left. If you are interested, go pick those up. Catherine said, please make the Advent patterns available, especially for those who live outside of the US and the cost of postage was too much to order the yarn. I have got you covered, Catherine. Absolutely. We're definitely going to be doing that. So keep an eye out for that. Yarn Motivated says, Gigi brings such a light to crochet. As a crocheter and knitter, your content brings me great joy. You are knitting together a beautiful community, Devin. Oh, that is so nice. You guys are awesome. I feel blessed to know you. I feel blessed that you are interested in having me as a part of your life. Thank you so much. This really is an amazing community. Just wonderful, wonderful people. I got so many great comments. I tried to read them all and respond if I could. Allison Foster said, so glad to see you this fine Sunday afternoon. I love the comment about Psalm 139. I agree with your thoughts on reflecting on such things. We need more God in our world. I bought another sock ruler. I just felt that two are better than one. And then she gave me this emoji. I will be online Friday so that I can purchase the Myrrh Dog Pin. So excited. Thinking that my knitting friends might need a Myrrh Dog Pin. I will be trying the Finchley graft. And as always, I enjoyed Gigi's segment, a very bright spot. Awesome. Thank you all so much for watching and for leaving me a comment. And for liking the Myrrh Dog and for not wanting to take yourselves too seriously and for thinking Gigi is great, because she is. She absolutely is. All right, knitting fantasies. We've gotten here kind of quick today. Oops, knitting fantasies. I can't leave it out or your mind will fill it in. Okay, so I usually look on Etsy for knitting fantasies. I'm not a big Ravelry fan, but they do have some stuff that you can't find anywhere else. So every now and then I check it. And I found out that Stephen West's shawl knit along went on sale yesterday. So if you do that, it is apparently the 14th annual shawl mystery knit along. I love Stephen West. I was Googling him and I saw some people say things like, you know, Stephen West is interesting, but he's kind of crazy. Like, what is this stuff? It doesn't even fit on a human body. If you are looking for a basic sweater pattern, like that's just not what he does. He is an artist and I respect him for his artistry, his artisticness. He has no fear. He does not see limits. He doesn't say, this goes in this box and this goes in this box. He dumps all the boxes, jumbles it up, and makes something from that. And I love that about his work. I just think, not only do I think he's an amazing artist, I also think he's an amazing business person. As a small business person myself, I really admire his business sense. He's great at marketing. I really, really admire him. So I read a little bit about the shawl. It is, I assume, gosh, I didn't even look. I assume that it's fingering weight. And it's only 4 colors and it's called Geo Gradient. And he has this awesome graphic of his face in like a spaceman helmet. And it's a gradient basically. So in the description, he has a yarn store in Amsterdam where he lives called Stephen and Penelope. And I went looking at some of the gradients that they had and I noticed the prices and they run the 4 color gradients that you need to make the shawl run from 120 euros to 178 euros. And I thought, well, how much would that cost at Knitty McPurly? Just wondering, just throwing it out there. And it turns out that 4 skeins of Knitty McPurly fingering weight yarn, either Frankfurt fingering, which is probably what you would want, or Freetown fingering is $112, which is 104 euros. So Knitty McPurly yarn is cheaper than Stephen and Penelope by 16 to 74 euros cheaper. Euros, which is apparently doing better than the dollar right now. Sometimes they're neck and neck. I don't know why. I have customers all over the world, so I tend to keep an eye on these things. And the euro and the dollar were neck and neck for a while, but it's fallen. Too bad for us. But anyway, if you're interested in knitting Stevens Mystery Knit Along. You can go purchase it now on Ravelry and probably other places. I don't know, maybe on Stephen and Penelope's website. I don't know. But the first clue comes out October 5th. So that gives you time to get your yarn and really plan. So I picked, this is probably my favorite gradient in the, no, I can't pick a favorite. It's like having a favorite child. So this is a gradient of Knitty McPurly yarn. We've got Poirot, Fantine, Thistle, and Bougie. That's a fun one. Now, when it, did I bring them all over? Where are the rest? Oh, did they fall off? I think they fell off. Okay, if we were gonna do one of the greens, we've got Black Forest Cake, Meadow, Beryl, Bosque, and Frost. So this is, I kind of like when you take one out, and it doesn't really, I think, matter which one. If you take that one out, that's a good gradient. Ooh, that one's pretty. You could even, nah, I like them like that. That's really pretty. This combination is really popular. Amy came up with this for her Vesper. The Bosque and Frost, they almost rhyme. It's like alliteration. But that one, or you could do, I keep leaving the screen. Where did the other colors go? Oh, they're right here. So you could do it with the Fathom too. Fathom and Beryl and Bosque and Frost. You get basically a yarn, a saturated color, like a high value yarn, and then a low value yarn. So you have your black and your white, and then you have your two mid value. And you don't, I mean, he says you should have a gradient. So I think I would probably go with that. But your gradient could be something like Fantine, Roxette, Trinket, and, ooh, where's Bougie? Where did that go? Sorry. Ooh, isn't this is the one that I picked for my, that crocheted sweater that drove me crazy because it was basically trying to crochet to look like knitting. I love this. Gosh, how could I pick one? It's like your children. The only color I didn't use was pewter, and that's such a neutral. You could put that in anywhere. You could do, what? Poirot, Thistle, Bougie. I think I would do pewter and Bougie. Ooh, that's pretty. Fun. So if you're going to do that mystery knit along, just give Knitty McPurly a look because I have some gradients in case you're interested in that. And then when I was on Ravelry, I saw another pattern I loved. I feel like Ravelry has just not impressed me lately, and I'm not looking at every single pattern. I'm basically looking at the front page of Ravelry, which is like the top 40 or however many of the most popular patterns right now. And the two picks that I have, Stevens Knit Along and this one, were both in the very top row. This is called the Bifurca Vest by Teddy Lutzak. And I just thought it was so interesting. Isn't it interesting? The construction's interesting. I don't know that I love the motif personally, the colorwork motif, but the construction looks really cool. So it's a DK weight yarn, and she is European because the price is in euros, and this is interesting. DK weight sweater, and the two needles that she uses, needle sizes, are a US 1.5 and a US 2.5. So that's a 2.5 millimeter and a 3 millimeter needle. I don't even own those. I feel like those are probably something that Europeans maybe have and use a lot. My European friends, is that true? 2.5 and 3 millimeter. But also for DK, I wonder, I mean, I'm a loose knitter, and my go-to for DK would probably be a size 5. So this is just a really tight knit sweater, or she's a loose knitter. I don't know. I didn't look at the gauge. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting. So those are my two picks. You guys really came through for me when it comes to, so here's what happened. I got a lot of responses. So if you sent me a knitting story and you don't hear it today, it's because I am saving it for a future podcast. I do this podcast weekly. That's 52 knitting stories. Let's say 50 knitting stories a year, because every now and then a kid is sick or I'm out of town or whatever. But 50 knitting stories a year is a lot of knitting stories. So I gotta hang on to them and save them for when I need them. Okay, this is a great story. This comes from a podcast watcher named Melanie. Hi, Melanie. She says, I co-run a fiber arts ministry called Knots of Love at my church. We make blankets for the NICU, knitted knockers, prayer shawls, etc. Well, our quarterly project right now is chemo caps to donate to the local cancer center. That is amazing. If somebody had given me a hand knit, and people did, you guys did send me hand knit chemo caps. But like if I had randomly gotten one from the cancer center, that would have just been amazing. I would have loved that. I should do that for my cancer center. That would be great. Why don't I do that? Okay. She says, I had been feeling slightly discouraged in this ministry as we don't get the participation that I would really like to see. But I'm hoping focusing on one project changes that up. A few weeks ago, I was at Hobby Lobby buying yarn for our next meeting to give the ladies to use for the hats. The Cancer Center specifically requested the I Love This Yarn brand as it comes in so many colors and is so soft. I was shopping down that aisle, just grabbing random skeins that I thought were pretty but didn't match at all. The other lady at that aisle looked at me quizzically and said, I just have to ask, what are you making with that yarn? None of it matches. So I told her that it would be used to make chemo caps that my ministry at church is doing as our quarterly service project. I went on to share even more about the ministry. She introduced herself as Marcia and looked so excited and shared that she used to be in a similar group at her old church before she moved. But the one that she goes to now doesn't have a ministry like that. So I said, well, we have a meeting tomorrow from 10 to 12, and here's the church address. She said that she'd try and come. I went home and told my husband about it, told one of my friends, but I didn't think too much about it otherwise. The next morning, I get to church for the meeting. I'm sitting in the room, people are showing up and sit down to start to work on their projects. And then, lo and behold, who walks in but Marcia? And she brought a chemo cap that she completed the night before. Let me tell you, this was exactly the encouragement I needed from God to show me that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. He does want me to continue in this ministry, and he has a plan. Marcia fit right in with our group of ladies, and she plans to continue joining our meetings. God is so good, and he always puts the right people in our path at the right time. We just have to keep our eyes open and be willing to talk to people. That is such a great story, Melanie from Alabama. I love that. I actually talk to people too much. Like, I need to rein myself in and be like, I don't need to talk to absolutely everyone. Not everyone wants to talk to me. Because I would absolutely start talking to somebody in Hobby Lobby. And I was just there yesterday with Gigi, and we bought, here, she showed you some of the yarn, but here is the picture of the basket from Hobby Lobby. Since we're talking about Hobby Lobby and yarn, this is the picture of the basket of yarn that Gigi got to make for her DAD for his birthday. And here she is at the checkout. She's like, Mom, are you really going to take this picture of me at the checkout? But anyway, I love the idea of making chemo caps. That is such a great idea. Why don't we do that? Let's do that. I need to think about it a little more. Talking helps me think things out. So this idea has, like, Melanie just gave it to me just now. But let's do that. Let's make some chemo caps. And I don't know, maybe we can send them to a point person and that person can take them to the cancer center. Want to? Let's think about it. We'll talk more about it next time. Okay? Bye, knitters. Hopefully I'll be better rested next time.